On this week's Prequel episode, we follow up on our beastly listener polls and preview Secretary. Hello and welcome back to another Prequel episode of This Film Is Like the Podcast, where we talk about movies that are based on books. We're going to get right into it, as always, with our patron shoutouts.
I put up with you because your father and mother were our finest patrons, that's why.
We have one new patron this week coming in at the $15 Hugo award-winning level, our top tier, Eric Rebane. Thank you, Eric, for supporting us. If you haven't yet, make sure you get in that suggestion, what the thing you would like for us to talk about, because reminder to everybody else, at the $15 level, that's the perk you get priority recommendations. So we appreciate that, Eric. Get that movie in. Can't wait to cover it. And now on to our recurring list of Academy Award-winning patrons, and they are Eric, Harpo Rat, or Eric Rebane. I don't know. I think it's just Eric. I'm just going to say Eric.
Okay.
Harpo Rat, Nathan B., Vic Hammer, Matilde, Steve from Arizona, Paul, Teresa Schwartz, Ian from Wine Country, Winchester's Forever, Kelly Napier, Gray Hightower, Gratch, Just Gratch, Shelby is no more, That Darn Skag, V. Frank, and Alina Starkov. Thank you all very much, and extra special thanks to Shelby for that fantastic username change.
That tickled me.
Shelby is no more. Thank you for continuing to support us at that $15 level. You're all the best. Katie, let's see what everybody had to say about Beastly.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Well, before we get to that, we actually had one.
That's right, yes.
We had one comment about Never Let Me Go that was posted like maybe an hour after we finished recording the last.
And I had
Prequel.
already was either in the middle of editing, because sometimes if that happens, I still have time, I will go record a thing separately. But I was like in the middle of editing, I think, when I saw it go up. So.
But we wanted to go ahead and share that from Kevin on Facebook.
Kevin Smith. I don't know if it's the Kevin Smith. I don't think it is. I didn't check.
I think it's probably not the Kevin
didn't check.
Smith.
He seems like a guy that might listen to our podcast, but I don't think it's the Kevin Smith. But I didn't check.
Well, if you're the Kevin Smith, please reveal yourself. You can do it through a DM if you'd rather. But Kevin said, I was given the book, but was given no warning on what it was about. I like that you described it as a horror that they didn't realize they were in. It's definitely bleak. In fact, the film comes off less depressing than what the book made me feel. All the unanswered questions about the society that allowed the harvesting to happen gives the novel a longevity way after you finish reading. Yeah,
no, I agree with that. I will say, I wanted to clarify, it wasn't us that described it as a horror that they didn't realize they were in. That was a
a pull quote from a book review, I believe.
Just wanted to make sure we, don't steal that that line, because we agreed with it, but we did not we did not make that novel observation. So. All right, thank you, Kevin. Just a reminder, just a heads up for everybody. We generally record these on either Monday or Tuesday evening.
Yeah.
In the US,
depending on our schedule,
Central Time Zone US. Either Monday or Tuesday evening. It just depends on what else is going on. So if you have them in by Sunday, you're definitely safe. Monday during the day, if you're in the Central Time Zone or whatever, you're usually pretty safe. Anytime after that, you may not make it into that edit. You may miss the cutoff. So just for future reference for people.
And now our feedback for Beastly. On Patreon, we had 3 votes for the book and 3 for the movie. Kelly Napier said, disclaimer off the top, I wrote out these thoughts before I listened to the episode, so I'm repeating some of the reflections you already made, but I didn't feel like rewriting anything, so here we are.
That's fine.
Okay, after I finished the book, I thought it was really dumb. Same, Kelly. I especially hated the group chat of other cursed people. But then,
it's a point of disagreement. A little bit there.
I mean,
you enjoyed that.
you
had it better in the book.
I liked.
You liked the idea.
I liked the idea.
That's right. You did say that it wasn't.
But I thought in practice it was pretty bad.
That's fair. I do actually think that was the conversation we had now that you mention it. Yeah.
Kelly went on to say, but then I watched the movie. And wow, did it make the book look like a masterpiece. I don't know if I would go that far.
This isn't a 50 Shades situation quite.
No, not quite. It's not quite like Divergent series level or 50 Shades, but similar. My favorite part, when Alex Pettyfer kept slipping into his natural English accent. Also, Vanessa Hudgens, love her to death. Gabriella Montez forever. That's her High School Musical character.
Okay. That's what I figured. I was just making sure.
But she is way too pretty to be the outcast she's supposed to be. In no world would someone who looks like her be unpopular in high school.
To be fair, do we know that she was unpopular in the movie?
We don't know that for sure in the movie, no.
We don't learn much about her.
We really don't. The movie does not care to divulge anything interesting about her.
I think there's definitely an implication that she's not part of, like, the popular crowd, but I don't know if there's also much implication that she's, like, unpopular. She just seems like kind of a loner. Like a little bit, like at the party and stuff. But she's at a big party.
Yeah, she's at the party.
Yeah, so
we don't see her interact with anyone but Kyle, but she is at the party.
And super unpopular kids don't get invited to big Halloween parties. So I don't know. Yeah. But point still stands because we talked about that.
Yeah, we talked about it. And she is supposed to be unpopular in the book. Like she's kind of a nerd. Nobody really hangs out with her, talks to her, etc., etc. I missed Kyle revealing himself to Sloane first in an effort to quickly get rid of the curse from the book. The movie didn't have anyone freak out about his looks, which I thought was needed to have Kyle prove to himself that he was hideous and no one would ever love him. And it was a blink and you'll miss it moment, but the explanation of why Kyle left his school in the movie was given as him going to rehab. Why wasn't boarding school a good enough explanation like it was in the book? I feel like rehab would be a lot harder to explain than him just being shipped off to a boarding school by his rich-ass dad.
I agree with that, because I do remember that moment where we see, like, it's like a social media post from Sloane, like something about him being in rehab or whatever.
It's crazy, too, because, like, for all that his dad is concerned about, like, image and whatever, why would you want everyone to think that your kid went to rehab?
Yeah, just say
boarding school works perfectly fine.
Boarding school,
yeah, he's in Switzerland or wherever. Who cares? I also liked the inciting event to have Lindy move in with Kyle in the book over the movie. The event in the movie just seemed too far-fetched. Having Lindy's dad break into the house seemed to track more with the kind of person we know him to be. I missed the mirror. It was such a good callback to the Disney movie that the audience for this book and movie would have been recalling, and I thought it was a useful device for how Kyle keeps tabs on the outside world. And I liked Magda/Zola and Kendra being the same person in the book. A lot of what the character as Magda/Zola does makes more sense when you understand that she's also Kendra, who wants Kyle to break the curse when she can't do it herself. In the movie's favor, though, the soundtrack was bangin'. A true early 2010s, now that's what I call music compilation. And I liked the ending setting up that the dad may get his comeuppance too. So, despite the fact that it wasn't good at all, I voted for the book, because it was still better than the movie.
Fair enough. I think that's what you did too, right?
No, I did a tie.
You picked the movie. Oh, that's right, you did a tie. Yeah. I forgot. You chose the coward's way.
I'm just kidding. I don't do it a lot. I know. Like, sometimes when I'm trying to write that final verdict, I feel kind of equally queasy about choosing either, so I'm like, nah.
I get it. I think I have chosen a tie before. I think.
You have, yeah.
I think I have.
Our next comment was from Nathan B., who said, I don't know which one to vote for based on quality, so I empathize with Katie. I did notice that Kyle's friend is named Trey Parker, which seems like a clear reference to South Park.
In the book? Or
in the book, yeah.
Because I don't remember any of his friends mentioned in the movie.
I don't remember. Yeah, that is his name in the book. I think the greatest failing, and that's not a low bar, of the book and the film are their attempts to justify kidnapping by the protagonist. The book in particular struggled to justify his obviously wrong behavior. I think this makes it clear why Beauty and the Beast tales are not usually from the perspective of the Beast. It just can't be justified when you're in the Beast's head. Also, the elephant in the room is that Alex Pettyfer is an accused domestic abuser. This made my decision for me.
I was unaware of that.
I didn't know that. I had heard that he was like hard to work with, like kind of a nightmare on set.
This is the only thing I think I've ever seen him in.
I don't think I've ever seen him in anything
like
else.
I don't even know if I'd heard of him other than until we watched this movie.
So I guess he's not getting a bunch of jobs, which I think is good.
Seems good.
It seems good, yeah. No, I had a note in my reading notes about the trying to justify his obviously wrong behavior with the kidnapping. That like it really doesn't. You can't do it.
Yeah.
You kind of just gotta let it wash over you.
Bite the bullet on that
Yeah.
one.
Next comment was from Shelby is No More, who said, "The movie is trash, but it's my trash. I see your criticisms of the look of the Beast in this movie and raise you the CW Beauty and the Beast. He has a whole scratch on his face in that. I don't think I've ever seen anything.
Is it like a show? Like, I don't know anything about it. Like, did they make a movie or?
I would guess it was probably a show, probably short-lived since neither of us has ever heard of it.
Yeah.
CW Beauty and the Beast. Oh no, it ran for 4 seasons. Why don't I remember this?
It had that's Lana Lang. Was this post Smallville?
I don't know.
It's got Kristen Kirk.
He does have a whole scratch on his face. Yeah, he's even more handsome.
That's
than
hilarious.
Kyle is.
He's literally just got one time. He's got like
dude.
a Geralt of Rivia scar.
Just a dude.
It's like Geralt of Rivia could never find love. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's post Smallville. Kristen Kirk played Belle. Interesting.
Maybe we should watch that.
I don't think we should. If we're watching anything from the CW, we're watching Smallville.
Okay.
Smallville's great. And by great, I mean I liked it when I was 12 or whenever it came out.
Okay.
So.
All right. Shelby went on to say, he has a whole scratch on his face in that. So beastly that the actor went on to play the absurdly hot guy in It Chapter 2. I don't have a problem with them casting Vanessa Hudgens in this movie. The fairy tale is called Beauty and the Beast, after all. There's a whole song in the Disney movie about how Belle is both hot and quirky. I'd say that sums up Vanessa Hudgens' character in this movie.
The issue isn't that. The issue is because Belle is traditionally her name's Beauty.
There are other like retellings where she's not beautiful,
but you were more so comparing it to like because the plot in the book and then even by extension somewhat in the movie is that she's
because the whole idea in the book is that she's not hot.
Yeah, she's not like conventionally attractive and like the kind of woman that girl that he would.
Yeah, he's not the kind of girl that he would typically go after. And the movie, I think, attempts to transpose that like directly while also casting a conventionally hot person as Belle. So like to me, the dissonance there does not
quite work.
Also, I don't know if I would sum up her character as both hot and quirky in this movie. We don't really know anything about her other than she likes juju fruit.
That's true. Yeah, we don't know. She does like weird poetry. I say weird poetry. She likes that one poem.
Yeah, she likes that one poem and juju fruit because we really don't know anything about her. Maybe she's quirky. Maybe she's just really boring.
Yeah.
We don't know.
We have no idea.
The fairy tale's about the Beast learning that hot people don't have to be shallow or something, isn't it? That's one of the reasons this fairy tale doesn't really do anything for me. Maybe the curse should also make him see everyone as a beast like him, and that way he has to learn to see beyond looks.
Is him learning that hot people don't have to be shallow part of his story? It's more so about him learning to not be shallow. Not that hot people don't have to be.
In this version of it, he's learning to not be shallow, which is not necessarily aligned with the majority of like Beauty and the Beast iterations.
I mean, the Disney one is a similar. Well, it's not that exactly, but that is part of the reason he gets cursed.
Part of it,
yeah, but it's not like the main thing because that isn't like his ultimate.
It's not his like main central flaw. His central flaw is just that he's an asshole.
Yeah.
Right?
And it expresses itself kind of as shallowness.
Yeah, like and especially like in that moment when the
Yes.
old hag knocks
Right.
on the door, it expresses itself as like shallowness and vanity. Yeah.
Yes, but it's just that he's a jerk and
Yeah.
sucks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, ultimately.
But this particular iteration of Beauty and the Beast chooses to focus like zoom way more in on like the shallow and the vanity and the
Yes.
that type of thing.
Yeah.
Next comment was from Eric, who said, "No thoughts, just super amped you guys chose to look at this hilarious adaptation. I did prefer the book."
That's a thought. You already said no thoughts, and now you're here providing thoughts, Eric. Just kidding.
I did prefer the book. Kyle's inner monologue and chat conversations were so deliciously emo. I also enjoyed having more time to understand the characters, their growing relationship, and the much more nuanced character for the witch.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
And our last comment on Patreon was from Mathilde, who said, "I didn't vote since I didn't read the book and barely made it 5 minutes into the movie." Fair enough. "I even tried to just have it in the background as I fell asleep and I couldn't bear it." This is a terrible movie to fall asleep to.
Yes.
It's loud
God, no.
and
Especially the
frenetically
beginning.
paced.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that first song blasted on.
And just, the
Like,
first
we
20
both
minutes in the
jumped
movie.
like a foot in the air.
Yeah,
when the
and then it's
movie
just
started.
nonstop, like blah blah blah, like people like giving speeches and like parties and like it's just like
Yeah.
chaos for the first 20 minutes.
Apparently, I have an annoyance limit, and that pacing and terrible dialogue is it.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed both Brian's ending and Katie's suggestion of friendship love being able to reverse the curse. They reminded me of Shrek and Maleficent, and if those movies pulled it off, surely Beastly could have done it too. It would have made it a worthwhile adaptation of Beauty and the Beast.
We have another comment about that.
Yeah, we
in just
do.
a second here. We'll get to that.
I have a bone to pick with the Beast look too. If the 80s TV show could make an acceptable live version of a Beast costume on their budget, this version has no excuse. Let's be real, they just didn't want to uglify their actor too much and turn off their potential audience.
I think that's probably
yeah.
true.
I think that's dead
which
center.
is what you touched on that, and then
Yeah.
you said like they didn't want to, and like the like making him a beast and like the weird like bestiality stuff and whatever, and yeah, I think that is the main reason that they decided to do that instead of making him a werewolf man.
Over on Facebook, we had 3 votes for the book and 0 for the movie. Sarah said, "I haven't read or watched this one, but just wanted to make a comment on the opinion that the main character should have stayed as his quote-unquote beast form instead of his original look after the curse was broken. This is exactly what happens in Shrek. Fiona was upset that she didn't turn back after the curse was broken, and Shrek tells her that she's still beautiful, and they live happily ever after."
So this is the one that I was talking about, and I can't believe I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Basically is
That is how Shrek ends.
I forgot. We've done Shrek on the show. It's been years and years now, and I just forgot that is what happens in Shrek. But yeah, and I think it works really well. It's a good ending for Shrek, and I think it would have worked here.
Yeah.
Just because Shrek did it doesn't mean you can't do it, as is evidenced of a million movies who tried to be Shrek after Shrek came out.
Our next comment was from Crystal J, who said, "A few years ago, a friend gave the book to me so I could read it and then watch the movie. She's really into anything Beauty and the Beast related, and she knows I'm a fan of retellings. Shout out to Ever After. I share this because when I saw that you guys were doing this one, I remembered that I've read and watched it before, but I could not for the life of me remember anything about it. A quick rewatch and reread made me realize why. It's mediocre. Not good, but not really horrible. If a shrug was a movie."
That's a great way to sum it up, because I agree, and that's kind of what we landed on. We thought there was stuff that worked in the movie.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like completely terrible all the way through.
Yeah.
But just like a lot of
But it
problems.
was a lot of problems and like pretty clearly trying to capitalize on current trends and not doing a very good job.
I would amend that slightly to maybe to say if a Grimace was a movie, because there's a little bit more judgment there, but it's still not like,
Mm.
it's still not like it's super like awful. It's just like, oh God, all right, I guess, like a Grimace was a movie. But yes, sure, it's good too.
My vote will be for the book, I guess. Resounding statement from Crystal. I like the idea of him talking to the other fairy tale characters, even if the author didn't know what to do with it. Yeah, that was pretty much how I felt about it. Last comment on Facebook was from Crystal C.
2 crystals.
I know, 2 crystals. I don't usually have to tack on last initials. Crystal C said, I completely forgot about this book and movie until this last episode. I was 11 when it came out, and it was the hottest must-see movie of the year.
Was it?
Maybe if
Maybe
you were
for
11,
11-year-olds at the
I don't know.
time,
I
yeah.
was in college when it came out, so I would not have considered it the hottest must-see movie of the year. Clearly not aged well since, but hilarious to hear you two talk about it.
That does make sense, though. That is the age, that preteen,
Yeah.
like mid-teen range would have been, who it was popular with. So
yeah, this is the tween to young teen demographic for
absolutely,
sure. Yeah. Over on Instagram, we had 1 vote for the book, 1 for the movie, and 1 listener who couldn't decide. MMR7997 said, I haven't read the book, but I'd pick the movie for Neil Patrick Harris.
You'd be wrong.
Is this the project?
This is not the one
to go to bat for Neil Patrick Harris on, though. I don't have any strong feelings on Neil Patrick Harris. I get why people like him.
Yeah,
he's talented.
I thought he was really enjoyable as whatchamacallit in Lemony Snicket, the TV series.
I thought
he did Count
a good
Olaf.
job.
I thought he was a good Count Olaf. I didn't read the books, but
this movie, though,
this is not the one where I would. Again, I've seen other things I enjoyed Neil Patrick Harrison and stuff like that, but yeah, this ain't it. This ain't the one. But if you enjoy him overall, maybe you still find. I don't know if I could watch like Brendan Fraser in something and not like him in the movie. I mean, maybe, I don't know. I haven't seen a thing with Brendan Fraser that I've disliked him in. So
our next comment was from Georgie, who said, didn't read the book, but I did watch the movie and had a great time, so I'm voting movie. I'm disappointed I didn't encounter it earlier because middle school Georgie would have properly appreciated it. But it's probably the good thing the movie wasn't an influence on my developing brain. Fair enough. As an adult, I'm still team Kyle is hotter with the tattoos and body mods. Except, is it just me, or do his eyebrows say embrace suck in his cursed form?
We have a note on that momentarily.
Too.
And I actually saw the note we have on it. I actually saw when I was doing looking at stuff for the prequel. I just didn't mention it because I didn't really know what it meant or what the context was. So I just didn't include it. But yes, we'll get to that momentarily with another comment.
Yeah. But you are correct.
Yes.
And we'll talk about that more in a second.
Yeah, and I don't think you're alone in preferring tattooed and body modded Kyle.
Definitely not. Next comment was from Anal Fracture 42.
Fantastic.
Who said, I like to torture myself with stuff that is at least entertaining, parentheses, good, bad, but I adore you talking about these films and books, of course.
Fantastic.
I'm glad it was entertaining. Last comment on Instagram was from Young Melissa, who said, all caps, Brian, why did you ever dip pizza crust in milk? Crying emoji. And are we talking thick crust, frozen pizza, all kinds? I have questions.
All right, let me defend myself here. By defend myself, I mean just explain. This is the only comment we got about this, which is funny because I actually wasn't sure if this was a thing. This is one of those things that I didn't know if this was a thing other people did. It felt like to me like it could just be a weird Midwest thing, but I don't think it is.
I don't think so.
So I don't remember if my brothers did it, like my older brothers, or I have a vague memory that one of my brother's friends did it, and that's why I started doing it. I can't recall. But to answer your questions, basically any pizza, but any normal crust, hand tossed style crust pizza,
where there's actually a squishy crust.
Think like a Papa John's type or whatever. Not like a deep dish, not like Emos. You know what I mean? Nothing like that. It just where when you get done, you have basically a breadstick left. Essentially, is what I would do it with. As to why, like I said, I think I saw some, one of my brother's friends or something.
Cool older kid.
Maybe, I don't know. And I started doing it, and I will argue this. I remember it being tasty. I will also say this. I haven't done it in I don't remember. I stopped
Yeah.
doing it like as a child, I think. Like I was maybe into high school, maybe. But it's been over
Yeah. Well,
over 20
we were
years.
talking about this last night, and I posited that you probably stopped doing it around the same time you stopped pouring a glass of milk to
That-
have with your pizza.
That would have been a big thing, is that yes, eventually I stopped having milk with every single meal.
Yeah.
I'm a water person now. I have water with every meal primarily, and have been for, at least a decade now. But yeah, there was a period, growing up, milk with every meal. You grew
Yeah.
up like this. You had
Yeah.
milk with, especially dinner, breakfast and dinner at least, and lunch, honestly, because at school. I'd
Yeah,
get
at school you get milk with your breakfast,
Yeah.
milk with your lunch, milk with your dinner. We've just got really good, strong bones out here.
I am a huge milk drinker, always have been, still am. Still drink a lot of milk, but yes, I don't dip my pizza crust in it anymore, and I haven't for a long time. But I liked it, and I don't like it. Was vaguely, look, I'll defend it so far as to say this: it's a dairy product, just like dipping it in garlic sauce without the garlic and the salt and the other stuff.
Well, you said that last night when we were talking about this, and I lost my mind. It's exactly like garlic sauce, except it's not garlic sauce at all.
Look, just try it before you knock it. That's all I'll say. There's lots of weird food combinations that I enjoy. That I say lots. There's a few. Another one you want to weird. Might as well limp on. Make yourself a plain bagel with peanut butter and cream cheese. Report back to me. It's delicious. It's incredible. If you like those things. If you don't like those things, you're not going to like it. But if you like peanut butter, I mean, that's basically what is that?
I like
whatever?
all of those things separately, but I don't like the idea, because when you put peanut butter on a bagel, it gets really warm and melty.
Oh,
and
yeah.
cream cheese kind of does not.
You got to
do
let
that.
it cool.
Well, I don't know about that.
Yeah, you can toast it,
don't
but then you
wanna
let
eat
it
a
cool
cold
down a little
bagel.
bit so that it's not like hot when you put the peanut butter and stuff on. But anyways, that was a thing. I still eat that occasionally.
Yeah.
Not a
you
lot,
do.
but occasionally. It's delicious. And that's a thing. That's a thing. That's a fluffer butter.
Yeah,
is
that's a
that.
thing.
Maybe not on a bagel, but it's the same idea. Like whatever. That's with marshmallow cream and.
Yeah, I was gonna
peanut
say
butter.
that's marshmallow cream.
I don't know. The peanut butter whipped cream or cream cheese thing is, I think, something my dad used to do. I can't remember. Anyways, look, all right, I'm from the Midwest. We eat weird stuff sometimes.
But that comment was my cousin Melissa.
Yes.
She's also from the Midwest, as am I.
Yeah, well, some of us are more from the Midwest. All right.
Okay.
Some of that like weirder like stuff that like the regional stuff, I think, has died out more, especially in the
Yes,
internet
yeah.
age, as like culture has more kind of homogenized
Yes,
a little bit.
that is true.
I don't think there's as much of that kind of, and not that there's none, but just I don't think there's as much of that weird like regional specific like little things that people
It's
did.
because they stopped doing got milk ads.
So my point was that I was thinking maybe somebody a little bit younger, like from a generation removed from us, might not have as much of the.
Yeah, she's not a full generation removed from us.
Fair enough. Anyways.
Anyway, over on Threads, we had no comments, but we did get our single vote that we get every time.
Yep.
1 vote for the book and 0 for the movie. And on Goodreads, we had 1 vote for the book, 0 from the movie, and we have a comment from Miko. And Miko said, I think the fact that I cannot remember a book on this podcast that was harder to find than Beastly tells something about its quality.
That's fascinating, because we've done a couple.
Yeah, we've done
ones.
some stuff that I felt like was more obscure. But Miko went on to say, it's virtually absent from my entire country. I was surprised to learn the author was a 40-year-old woman. For some reason, I imagined this to be another Divergent situation, and this to be someone's first foray into writing a novel.
It does feel like that.
It does. But maybe stuff like you cannot fall in love online should have been a hint of an older author.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Point number one
point
being
taken.
the host of your podcast here. I guess we didn't fall in love online, but we met online.
Oh yeah, we did. We became interested online at the very least.
Yeah.
I didn't quite get where on the fantasy realism scale the world of the book is supposed to sit. I kind of had similar problems with the world building. It's a little squishy.
Yeah.
We have chat rooms with mermaids and manimals that Kyle finds with no problem, but otherwise everything seems normal. I think it takes away from the story a bit when the Beast has a support group that can actually understand what he's going through. Especially as the chat doesn't seem to contribute anything. That is a super good point. I was almost expecting the chat room to be revealed as a role-playing site.
That would have been very funny. That would have been a great
that would have
twist.
Pleased me so much.
Yeah, he's just in like
pouring his heart and soul out.
And then it turns out like he meets up with one of the he finally gets works up the courage to meet up with he's like, oh, you're actually in New York too? Oh, we should meet up for coffee. And they go meet up and it's just like a normal kid. And they're like, wait. Oh, you're for real? It's like this awkward. That would have been because that actually would have been a big interesting character moment too. Yeah. You have to deal with the fact that
oh, I really am.
I really am
that
this is only happening. I don't know. That might have been interesting in its own way. But it also would have been very funny for it to be. He ended up on a role playing website.
Miko went on to say, I think I'm leaning ever so slightly towards the book. By copying the fairy tale, the book has a better through line than the movie. For example, the book handles Kyle's new appearance, the reason for Lindy's kidnapping, and the ending better. But at the same time, it's still not good. It's sometimes trying way too hard to bring elements from the fairy tale to the story. However, they still are better done than in the movie. For example, in the book, Kyle has pre-existing interests, like the greenhouse, that tie into the creepy romance, instead of him just copying Lindy's interests. Trying to decide which version was better really made me ask a bunch of new questions. Like, is watching you sleep through a magic mirror better or worse than actually following you around from the shadows?
I think they're the same.
Toss-up. It's coin toss there.
Feel equally bad to me.
The movie feels like it took an already mediocre story and due to low budget, messed it up even more. The movie made some good improvements too, but I'll still give my vote to the book. I like etymology, so I had to check the definitions of the names given in the book. There doesn't seem to be any credible source for Adrian meaning Dark One, only a couple baby name websites. And Alex Flynn absolutely went to a baby name website.
I was like, oh, that's what that means?
I
didn't actually do much research beyond that to confirm.
It really refers to someone from the Adriatic Sea that got its name from the Illyrian adur, meaning water or sea. And Kyle doesn't mean handsome, as the book also states. Sorry, GB or BB Kyle, but a narrow strait, even to this day in Scotland. Seems like while doing research on the various versions of the fairy tale, Alex Flynn disregarded other research.
It doesn't surprise me.
Also, I don't know if you noticed while watching, but Kyle has embrace and suck tattooed on his eyebrows in fake Arabic.
Yes. Which is what our other commenter mentioned and was something that I saw. And I didn't really pay attention to because I forgot about it while we were watching the movies. I didn't notice it so much in
the movie because it's not super, they're not huge or anything. And it is written in this it's it kind of looks like an Arabic script or kind of like a Middle Earth.
Yes,
kind of
it reminded
font.
me of a scripty, what is the ancient Elven for that's on the ring or whatever kind of, or
the
something.
Black language of Mordor,
the black tongue of Mordor, or something like that. Yeah, it definitely has a. I just didn't. It's funny because I even knew that and I still didn't really pay attention.
Yeah, it's not super obvious while you're watching the movie, but if you look up a picture of him, the photos, is it obvious that his eyebrows say "embrace suck"? And I really think they missed an opportunity to give him a unibrow with the word "the."
Incredible. What was our final vote here?
Our final tally, winner was the book with 9 votes to the movie's 4, plus our one listener who couldn't decide.
There you go. The book is the winner.
Yeah, the book, it was a pretty decisive victory.
Yeah, but not a huge, but pretty, got more than twice as many votes. So definitely won handily. We also wanted to mention I also wanted to mention we finally watched the Jenny Nicholson video on this.
Yeah.
'Cause
This
we
whole
had-
episode was a ploy so we could watch
we could finally watch Jenny Nicholson's
on
video
this.
about Beastly, and it was funny because we actually disagreed with like quite a bit in it with her. Like there was obviously quite a few things that we agreed with a lot, but like more I disagreed. I remember us like turning to each other more times than normal, being like, I don't agree with that at all.
Yeah.
Like I don't remember all the specifics.
She had like some criticisms of like the performances that I thought were not like I thought the performances were mostly
okay,
fine.
and like the chemistry, she thought they had like terrible chemistry, and that
I thought their chemistry was fine.
Yeah, she said something about like Neil Patrick Harris being good, and I was like disagreed with that.
Bad.
I thought he was terrible. Like again, I think it was more his dialogue than him.
He didn't have a lot to work with.
Yeah, there was just a handful of things that I thought was fascinating to see somebody you know have kind of a pretty different perspective on it.
But if you're craving more Beastly content, give that a watch. The funnest thing in it, I think, was that she talked about all of the tie-in merch that they made.
Yes,
which included a video game, and the discussion of that was
a lot
hysterical.
Of fun. Yes, that was very good. All right, we do not have a learning things segment this week because we had quite a bit of feedback and whatnot. So we're gonna get right into our book facts about Secretary.
I have never had a job before, but I can assure you that I am very excited about this opportunity.
All I need is a typist who can answer the phone.
You have reached the office of Mr. Edward Gray.
It's very dull work.
I like dull work.
I'm not here.
How'd it go? I got it.
This letter has 3 typing errors in it.
I'm sorry, I'm...
Type it again. This needs more sugar. 6 copies of these. What is wrong with you? You can get a much bigger voice out of that tiny throat.
This is the office of Mr. E. Edward Gray.
Secretary is a short story that appears in American author Mary Gaitskill's short story collection Bad Behavior, which was published in 1988. Gaitskill is a pretty established writer now, but she struggled to find a publisher for about 4 years before that first book, Bad Behavior, was published. The collection contains 9 short stories, which explore themes of sexuality, romance, love, sex work, sadomasochism, drug addiction, being a writer in New York City, and living in New York City. Writers in New York City really do they really love exploring
one of their favorite things.
Being a writer in New York City.
Yeah.
Secretary specifically explores themes of BDSM and psychological aspects of dominance and submission in sexual relationships. It is the only story in the collection that's written in first-person perspective, which I thought was interesting. Gaitskill actually revisited Secretary in 2023, according to Wikipedia, not as a sequel, but as a retelling. Like she did another go at it.
Okay.
It was published in The New Yorker in March of 2023, and this second version this is what Wikipedia says, continues with the main character revisiting her employer after several decades.
That sounds like a sequel.
Yeah, I have not read this. It sounds like a sequel to me, unless she rewrote the whole thing and then wrote more at the end, I guess. I don't know. I would be interested to find out more about that, because based on that description, it sounds like a sequel.
Maybe it's kind of both, in the sense that it's the same character going back in a modern time, but then a lot of the events are similar, but then examined through a different lens, maybe,
probably,
or something. I don't know.
At least close to what it is. In an interview for The New Yorker, Gaitskill explained what the main character feels, saying, quote, "The Me Too movement, though it's not explicitly named, has caused her to look back and think about her experience differently. In a perverse way, what the lawyer did awakened her and made her feel more alive than before or since. But that aliveness came at a heavy price." So
interesting.
Yeah.
Because I will say that I know nothing about this story. I don't want to say I know nothing. I know that it's about a secretary who enters into a BDSM relationship with her boss or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's the extent of what I know, which seems heavy for
Yeah.
kind of, analysis through that lens of like the Me Too movement and like the power dynamics of that kind of thing and like the problematic nature of it and stuff like that. And like, it sounds like she wanted to kind of come back
Yeah.
and re-examine it now,
Yeah.
so that is interesting, but yeah, it sounds more like a sequel
It does.
than a
I
retelling.
don't know. My last note here, Gateskill has characterized the 2002 film adaptation as, quote, the Pretty Woman version, heavy on the charm and a little too nice.
Okay.
So, based on some of what I've read, I have not read the short story yet.
Yeah.
The movie I saw was described as like a comedy.
I don't know.
Or at
Yeah, it's like
least
I
that's
think like
what it
kind of
says
like a romantic
online,
comedy.
kind of.
Kind of, I
And
think.
so I'm feeling like based on what I saw about the short story, I feel like there might be a tonal difference
Yeah,
between these,
could be interesting.
potentially.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of that movie, let's learn a little bit more about that right now.
I'm the type of guy who wants to get married and have a kid.
If you need any more typing, I could come back later.
Thank you, Miss Holloway.
Good night. Come into my office.
Finally.
This isn't just about typos. It's your behavior.
What about my behavior?
It's very bad. I'm very fond of you.
I'm your secretary.
If we can fully experience pain, we can live a more meaningful life.
He's the best.
Are you doing something sexual?
There are other ways to show your feelings.
We can't do this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Why not?
Secretary is a 2002 film directed by Steven Shainberg, known for The Prom, Hit Me, and Rupture. It's written by Aaron Cressida Wilson, who wrote Chloe, Men, Women, and Children, The Girl on the Train, and supposedly is currently working on the live-action Snow White script with Greta Gerwig.
Is that the Disney one, or
Yes.
is that a different one?
No, the Disney's like they're working on like a live-action. Snow
Well, I
White.
knew that. I thought it was like further along than that, though. Like,
Oh
I
well,
thought they were
she's sorry.
filming.
When I say working on, I guess yes, it's true. It's not out yet, so I
Right.
forgot that they were. Yeah, you're right because they've been like yeah. She's credited as the screenwriter with Greta
Okay.
Gerwig. So
I gotcha.
you're right. I forgot that
Yeah,
that was
'cause-
further along in the because they
Yeah,
like did
'cause there
reshoots
was
and like
the
all
big,
the
there was that whole big hullabaloo
With the dwarves
with
and-
what's her name, who's playing Snow White.
Oh yeah,
There was like a whole big thing where she said she like didn't like the character and
Right.
everybody got upset about it. And
Yeah.
Whatever.
Right. Yeah, I forgot that was much further along.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, but she's apparently co-wrote it with Greta Gerwig.
Interesting.
The film stars James Spader, Maggie Gyllenhaal, Jeremy Davies, Patrick Bacow, Stephen McCaddy, Oz Perkins, Jessica Tuck, Amy Locane, and Leslie Ann Warren. The film has a 78% on Rotten Tomatoes, a 63% on Metacritic, and a 6.9 out of 10 on IMDb. And I like to imagine that keeping that IMDb score at a 6.9 out of 10 has been a massive group effort by
Nice.
the fans of this movie. I like to imagine that it's a fun little game that everybody is mutually engaging in. The film made $9.3 million against a budget of $4 million. Director Steven Shainberg stated that he wanted to show a BDSM relationship that was normal and normalized, and he was inspired by the film My Beautiful Laundrette, which he felt normalized gay relationships in the 80s, which I've never heard of that movie.
Me either.
But I guess it's about a gay romance, and he thought that was kind of like a pioneering film in depicting gay romance on film, and decided that he wanted to do the same for BDSM with this movie. So then getting into some kind of interesting production fun notes, there's apparently one instance while filming this movie where they got the wrong rights for the wrong park to film. And so they decided to just shoot it really quickly. Like Maggie Gyllenhaal was apparently like, no, we'll just shoot this scene real quick, while some of the crew members distracted the police who were like, hey, where are your permits? Blah, blah, blah. And they just like hurriedly shot the film or shot the scene while that was happening, which seems unlikely to me.
Yeah.
But not impossible.
Unlikely, but not impossible.
More impossible today, or more unlikely today than, 25 years ago or whatever when this was filmed, but still seems, I don't know, because like when it comes out, you could still run into issue. I don't know. Anyways, this is a story that I saw. Production designer on this film's name was Amy Danger, who designed the entire. Yeah, this is a great name, and she designed the office very specifically, like the office set where a lot of this movie takes place, which is in James Spader's office. Talking kind of about her process and about like the movie as a whole, she said, with this S&M material, we could go into a dark place, but Steve and I wanted the total opposite. Steve's the director. That the nature of this relationship freed the characters to be their natural selves. And also, I found some stuff that I didn't include specifics here. That one of the big things they did in the design of this film was that the office has a lot of natural stuff in it. There's lots of like bamboo and wood and leather and like very natural things to contrast. Like a lot of times when she's outside of the office, it's all like very like artificial and faked to kind of present this like dichotomy of these two locations of like, this is where it's like she's free and blah, 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 or whatever in the office versus in the rest of the world, that kind of thing.
Interesting.
So look out for that in the set design. But yeah, they built this whole set of the office specifically for the film. So getting into some IMDb trivia. So who knows how true any of it is. Maggie Gyllenhaal in an interview about this film called her role in the film, quote, "The first time that I was given a role where I could express something about myself." Going on to say that taking this role was an opportunity to, quote, "explore something that's on the edge of what I know about myself, but with the protection of fiction," end quote. So there's a pretty well-known poster for this movie, if you've seen it, which is just a woman bending over in a short skirt.
Yeah.
Like grabbing her ankles. But Maggie Gyllenhaal has said that that is not her. She did not pose for that poster. But apparently, according to her, the person who did pose for it was dating her ex-boyfriend. So a woman who was dating Maggie Gyllenhaal's ex-boyfriend.
That's an interesting,
a weird, random
6 degrees of separation kind of thing.
Absolutely. Another fun fact, casting fact, supposedly Gwyneth Paltrow was originally cast in the role of Lee Holloway, which is Maggie Gyllenhaal's role, which, yep. Yep. And then finally getting to a couple reviews. There weren't a ton that I searched down, but I got a couple here. Ain't It Cool News said, quote, "Perhaps there is something bold about saying that pain can bring healing as long as it's applied by the right hand, but even that seems obvious and even normal thanks to Gyllenhaal." So praising Maggie Gyllenhaal's performance. And then lastly, I went and found Roger Ebert's review for this film on his website. He gave the film 3 out of 4 stars, saying that the film, quote, "approaches the tricky subject with a stealthy tread, avoiding the dangers of making it either too offensive or too funny," end quote. I went to and read his whole review, or not his whole review, but like skimmed through his whole review on his website. And I always forget that so much of Roger Ebert's reviews are just like nothing. Like I'm not trying to criticize it. Like so much of his reviews are just like facts about the movie and aren't really analysis of the on his website, like his written reviews. I think on like the TV show and stuff he did, he went into more detail about like what he liked, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of his reviews, it's very interesting, are sort of just like a list of facts about the movie, kind of, in a way. Like the first paragraph usually has like this line is from like the first sentence of the review. And then like the final paragraph has like also some like analysis and like his thoughts. And then the rest of it's just like, these are things that happen and people that are in it. And like, it's like, I don't know, they're very interesting. If you've never like really sat and read Roger Ebert's reviews, they're kind of fascinating in a way. But yes, that's all we have there for that. Before we wrap up, we wanted to remind you can do us a giant favor by heading over to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Goodreads, any of those old places, Threads, wherever. Follow us, like us, subscribe to us, so we can get your interaction, see what you have to say, all that good stuff. You can drop us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, any of those places. Also, ding, 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 we are on YouTube now. The entire podcast has been published to YouTube, with the exception of 5 prequel episodes that are copyright claimed and thus prohibited, but only in like Russia and like one in Australia. Most of our audience will be able to listen to every episode, and the rest of our audience will be able to listen to every episode except like 5 prequels. So there you go. It's on YouTube if that's a way you would prefer to to consume our podcast. You can do that. And then finally, if you want to support us, as always, you can head over to patreon.com/thisfilmislit and support us there. We'd really appreciate it. And if you support us at the $15 and up level, you get access to priority recommendation. And this one was, in fact, a priority recommendation from...
Yeah, this was a recommendation from Matilde.
There you go. Thank you, Matilde. Katie, where can people watch Secretary?
Well, as always, you can check with your local library or a local video rental store if you still have one of those. Withstanding that, you can stream this with a subscription on Tubi Mubi. Every week I learn a new streaming service.
Right, yeah.
Plex or Freevee.
Also, I believe on Tubi it's just you don't need a subscription. I believe it's just on, like, Tubi might have a subscription service, but almost all their content is just free. You just log on and watch it. So
I'm not gonna make a fourth category on here.
I'm just saying, like, if people hear stream with subscription, they think that I think you can just go on Tubi and watch it. I'm just saying, like, I think for free without like signing up or anything.
Who knows about Mubi?
Yeah, I don't know about those other ones. I think Plex is similar, like you don't have to have an account or anything like that.
Yeah,
I only know about these because I use them for Good, Bad, or Bad, Bad quite a bit because a lot of bad movies tend to be on there. But
yeah, those are all made up words.
Yes.
Otherwise, you can rent this for about $4 from Amazon, Apple TV, YouTube, or Vudu.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I'm interested to check this one out. So this is, again, I've never seen this movie, but this is one of those ones that, like, anytime you look up, like, when we were doing, like, 50 Shades of Grey, like, research and stuff during the prequel, this movie comes up constantly.
Yeah.
For other facts that we'll get into in the episode, which is interesting, which I didn't want to spoil yet, about, like, characters and names. I don't know if you know any of the details.
I may have seen something.
Yeah, but it seems very clear that this movie was an inspiration for one Erica L. James.
Erica. Erica is truly the gift that keeps on giving.
But yeah, no, I'm interested to check this one out because, like I said, it's actually got good reviews. It's supposedly a pretty good movie. But yeah, it's supposed to be like the better version of 50 Shades of Grey, supposedly. We'll be the judge of that.
We'll find out.
We will find out. That's in 1 week's time. We're talking about Secretary. Until that time, guys, gals, non-binary pals, and everybody else.
Keep reading books.
Keep watching movies.
And keep being awesome.